Well, hello. Welcome to the computer coding camp for 2022. And this is an online camp, as you know. We'll cover quite a bit of territory in 2 weeks. It's rather intensive, but the students who we've had through this camp before seem to have a lot of fun with it. So this is just a quick introductory lecture. And what we'll talk about here, basically, what did you sign up for? What are you in for? How are we going to deal with camp logistics? We did an online camp last year. We found that Zoom meetings work well, and I'll send those invitations out separately. You do need to have some software downloaded onto your computer if you don't have it already, so I'll send those instructions out separately also. There's also videos on YouTube that will help you with that. And we're going to also devote the first meeting towards that. So don't panic if you're not getting your software installed. It's not critical. We'll make sure at the end of the first meeting that things are working as they should. And then I have different lectures like this and other pieces of software that will help you out that I'll send out as we go through the camp. We'll also talk about basically the staff, the schedule, where to find the online resources. Okay, so our concept of operations here. The camp is 3 hours a day with breaks. We have held in-person camps before. They were 8 hours a day. There's no way that we can do 8 hours a day online without breaking your brain. I know you had to do it for school during COVID, but we all know it was difficult, right? So 3 hours a day for 2 weeks instead of 8 hours a day for 1 week. There's optional time you may want to spend obviously beyond the camp just to play with the software, play with what you're creating, ask questions of myself or the camp counselor, the camp tutor. The main thing though is during those 3 hours, I need to have your attention and you remember what it was like during COVID. I'm not sure how this worked in your school, but what I'm hoping to do is keep you busy, right? Keep you doing stuff instead of just watching all the time. I do have videos available at the link below. That's a playlist for this camp. If you're interested, this camp was basically taken from a course we teach at Embry-Riddle called Computer CS225, and you'll see that there's playlists also for CS225 if you want to basically look at the same information but in a little more detail. So within my YouTube channel, I use that for my courses. By all means, watch whatever you like. Oh, one thing about the YouTube for the camp is you'll notice that some of the camp lectures are titled, Summer of 2021. I'm reusing those from last year. The content is the same, so don't worry about that. I'm Keith Garfield. I'm your instructor. I'm Dr. Garfield, Professor of Computer Science. Been with Embry-Riddle since 2007. Before that, I worked in the aerospace industry. I did structural analysis for satellites. I did payload integration for the shuttle. And then I worked at a research institute at UCF for a while doing virtual simulations and artificial intelligence. We have a tutor also to help out. That's Mason, or Mai. And she's a computer science major that just took CS225, so all this information is fresh for her. What are we going to cover? Well, we're going to use Java as a programming language, but that's not the focus, right? This is not the Java class, but we'll use Java as the language of choice. Teach you just the basics. How do you edit a file, compile a file, execute the programs, and then walk through the levels of difficulty that you would get in a basic computer science programming introductory course. What are variables? How do you assign values to variables? How do you do if-then-else statements? How do you repeat things using loops? That kind of thing. So then those are the basics, but we do get into some more advanced things, which is object design. Object-oriented programming is a paradigm that is basically the dominant paradigm these days. And so we get into some of those advanced topics. In order to be good at object-oriented design, you need to do this for 5 or 10 or 15 years, right? So we're going to introduce you to the topics, introduce you to the concepts, and show you how it works. And then after the camp, as you build your own products and projects, you can get better at making good objects. We don't have time to cover graphics in depth, but we will cover graphics, and I will basically show you how graphics work rather than have you create your own from scratch. So that makes things a little bit easier for you. But having those models, having those examples means that once you are done with the camp, you're a long ways towards creating graphic programs on your own. The graphics that Java supports directly are rather simplistic, but again, if you learn how to use these in the simplistic way, there are other software tools that help you create really sophisticated graphics later on, so you can transfer what you learn here to a program, product like Unity, which is a freely available program that does really high-end graphics, but also uses the object-oriented paradigm. So by learning the object-oriented paradigm here, you can transfer that over to other projects. We'll talk about software design, plan before coding, test after coding. Quite frankly, this is the hardest thing to ever teach anybody. Everybody wants to just start typing, wants to start coding, and then they end up with a big mess on their hands, and the reason is they didn't plan and design before they started, and as they're going through and completing things, they don't test their software in an actual rigorous testing way. So what they have is a big pile of junk that probably doesn't work, and they don't know why it doesn't work. So we try to get people right off the bat to be more plan ahead kind of software programming rather than just flying by the seat of your pants. This is basically a repetition of the previous slide, but these are the outcomes for the camp. And then I have 2 slides on schedule, which I won't go over in detail. It's Monday through Friday for 2 weeks, and we start out on Monday the 13th. We start out with just here's an overview. Let's make sure everybody has Java up and running, and then do the simple programming just to show how edit, compile, execute cycle works. And then we work our way up, starting with really simple programs and then moving into programs that actually use the object-oriented paradigm and getting more sophisticated as we go, until finally at the end we have a racer game, and we do this as a challenge where you guys get to compete against each other. We'll put you in different brackets, and you design quote artificially intelligent, they're not really, but automatic racers that race in a straight line, and whoever wins goes on to the next bracket, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. So that's the camp. If you have any questions, by all means, please email me, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. And I will see you on Monday. Thank you so much.